Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Good Game Grab's daily episode of thrifting and reselling and nerd content and all that stuff that you love. We are down here in the Dirty Dungeon today, and we are going to show you A to Z how we do basically how we go through our reselling day, how we go through our daily motions. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. So aside from showing y'all me waking up, brushing my teeth, putting on deodorant, going to the bathroom, all that stuff, one of the first things that I like to do is make myself a giant thing of water. This is my coffee. I don't know if y'all drink coffee or what you guys do in the morning to get yourself going. I don't eat anything either, which is really interesting. I think it gives me more energy when I don't eat breakfast. I know that goes against what a lot of people have said throughout of history, even recent history. But you guys let me know in the comments down below what's your morning ritual before you get your day going. If you are a part-time or full-time reseller or just a nerd thrift hunter, also like ourselves. And I know some of this stuff might seem a little redundant for some of you guys that do this full-time or whatever, or you know, have been doing this for a long time even, but I hope that it helps some of you guys. I know there was a couple comments that wanted to see how our daily workflow goes from A to Z, so that's exactly what we're going to show you. Right behind me, we have a couple items. I'm going to show you kind of like the easiest item to the hardest item to list, and we'll go through step by step. I'll do a phone screen capture so you guys can see what's going on my end, but I'm also going to set you guys up on a tripod as well. So we're going to start with the easiest first, guys, and this is going to be something that we found actually a few episodes ago. This is part of a Cisco PBX phone, and you may not know that, and I understand that. So if you actually look on the back, they really do spell it out for you. So obviously they give you the brand, they give you a nice model number there as well, but it also tells you that it's a 32 button attendant console for a Cisco, and then it also gives the model number for the actual family of phones as well. So this is really well documented, easy to find. So I'm going to go through and see how we go ahead and list this guy as well. I guess I should also mention really quick before we begin that if you're not sending out offers in the morning, I think that's a good time to do it. Some people might disagree, but that's what I go ahead and do. So yeah, I'll go ahead and send out an offer on these Mizuno Cyclone Speed shoes. And these were already pretty cheap, so we'll go 16 on that versus 19. And then there's another HTC little smartphone, like older smartphone that we had up for 17 free. So we'll go ahead and, again, since it's already pretty cheap, we'll maybe just go ahead and do 14 on that. We'll do a $3 reduction on both low-cost items. All right, and then we can go on with our Cisco item right over here. Okay, so I'm just here acting like I am looking for this item is basically how I like to do it. I don't do it the traditional way through the selling portion of eBay. I typically do this 98% of the time, but I'll go in here and type in the model number as well. Oops, there we go. S. All right. And then, of course, you might want to take a look and see like how many are listed so you know what kind of competition you have, what they're pricing their stuff at. So we know that we've got 12 results. We've got 12 listed. And you can see that there's a couple right off the bat. There's one for 30 with 10. There's one for 45 with 16. And then there's another like with 74. So we pretty much know that we don't have very much competition. The other stuff is for like full-fledged phones. So we can go ahead and just probably determine that we're going to list this around $35 or $40 free shipping so we can get a fast sale. We might even do, yeah, we'll probably do $40 free ship. And we go under filter, show more, sold items. All right, we know that 13 have sold. So that's 100% sell-through rate if you guys don't know how that works. So we know that some have sold for 49 with 11, 45 with 16. So honestly, now that we've seen that there's super recent sold comps, we can probably go ahead and list this for, you know, I want to say probably 50 free shipping, and it should sell okay, or maybe 45 free shipping, or maybe you know what, we'll put it on 50 and we'll turn on best offer, and if we get a decent offer, we'll just go ahead and accept that. But these two recent, you know, listings right here, I mean, this is basically $62 free on the first one. You know, obviously they charge shipping, but with something light like this, like I'm not going to charge shipping on it. And then this other one was 45 with 16. So that's basically $60 as well. So I think 50 free shipping is more than fair. But what I'll do is I'll go, and sometimes I do like to look at listings that have the best pictures, just because I can tell that they put a little bit more time into their listing. So like this one, for example, does look very nice. And we'll go to sell one like this. Once we get in here, if it'll load, thank you. We'll start with the title. I always start with the title. Basically, I will try to modify some stuff in this, basically to give it my own, you know, my own feeling, I guess. Not my own feeling, but my own style of heading, I guess, of the title. But you don't necessarily have to. I guess it's probably good for the algorithm too, that you change around some stuff, so you're not just exactly copying somebody else's title, and then that way they kind of see it as more of a fresh listing. Don't quote me on that, but that's just my feelings on it. So you can go ahead and play around with it a little bit. This one actually looks pretty good. Let's see. So I'm going to word this a little bit differently, I think. I am going to do... See, okay, like here's a perfect example. Like they had the model number in there twice, basically. The S, I guess I'm assuming, stands for sidecar. But honestly, if somebody's searching for this, they're going to search SPA 500 anyway. So we can get rid of that one. And we're going to do 32 button attendant console. Let's get a capital on there. And we'll do sidecar, since that seemed to be a popular keyword as well that were in other listings. That's also something to pay attention to as well. Like, look at what the other listings, especially the sold listings, are using in their titles, and then take those keywords and also put that into yours as well. And I'm going to do PBX network. What else? I think that's it. I think that's all we're going to do here. So on something like this, I'm not going to spend forever cleaning this. Well, especially because it doesn't need it. It does have like a little bit of gunk right there, but otherwise it's pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my microfiber towel. I highly recommend you guys just buy these in bulk wherever you can. I sometimes find them brand new in the bins, but these things do great. And then, of course, just a bunch of isopropyl alcohol. Goes a long way on electronics, so that's what I like to use. Okay, less than a minute spent cleaning this. It looks to be pretty good to go. So let's go ahead and start taking pictures. Also, a quick tip before you start taking pictures is to test your item. Obviously, we are not testing this because we don't have the main phone. But when you go to take pictures, don't take them first. Don't take a bunch of beautiful photos before you test your item. I've done that before and have gone to test it and went, wow, I just wasted a bunch of time taking beautiful pictures of this thing. So I'm going to speed through this process as well because you guys have already seen it in another video. You guys can go back and see how we basically take photos and like crop them and stuff like that. If you guys do have additional questions though, please feel free to leave me a comment and I'll help you out as best as I can. I will say that also on every picture that is not the main picture, I rarely edit them just because I do frame them appropriately and try to get them in good light like this. The main photo I do editing on just because that's what's gonna catch someone's eye to want to look at the photo or look at the listing further. So a lot of the time I just make sure I get good light and I'll frame it close to the phone. Okay, now that we have our photos added in, I go ahead and double check the item specifics. The one thing about using sell one like this, that option of selling and listing rather, is that sometimes these item specifics are wrong and people will keep using the same item specifics over and over without realizing that they're wrong. So go ahead and double check, like, okay, we see that the brand is correct. We see that the series is correct, etc., etc. So we're good there. We'll go down in the description. Any flaws that it might have, we'll put in there. You know, anything special that it may need, of course. But this thing looks good to go. So, all right. So pricing. We said, what did we say? We said we'll do $49.95. We'll turn on offers. We won't set a minimum offer amount. I used to do minimum offer amounts, and honestly, it's not even worth the time. Sure, you're going to get some silly offers, but that just happens. So we know that this item is going free shipping, so the shipping service is not really important. We're just going to put in 1 pound and just put in some random dimensions. Of course, if you're trying to get someone to pay exact shipping, you'll obviously want to get the dimensions and the weight of the package. I think that is kind of a waste of time. I would rather bake in the shipping into the price of the item. And then that way, you know, as long as you have a good idea of the weight and the dimensions, which this is pretty obvious what the weight and the dimensions are, you're not going to get burned on shipping. I will say that if I know that I have a item that is bigger than like what USPS likes, so like take their standard 1095 box. If it's bigger than a 1095 box, I know that the shipping is going to get jacked up really high. So I'll go ahead and I'll just set the deliveries, the shipping service as UPS, because UPS is very much more lenient on bigger dimension packages. So with this being such a small item, relatively on the lighter side, this is probably over a pound. If I had to guess, probably just over a pound. So we're going to have to use USPS priority mail, which is fine. And then under shipping costs, free for buyer, because we baked in the shipping costs into the price. We'll go back and make sure that your preferences also are good. So with preferences, sometimes they will carry over from a sell one like this. But when you start listing consistently, that your selling preferences should never change. So mine's always 1 business day for handling. My return policy is always accepted within 30 days. Buyer pays return shipping and then money back. I don't require immediate payment, which is fine. And yeah, so you should have everything good to go there. I don't mess with anything like boosted usually. And I'll, of course, every time I will preview the item, make sure that it looks good. It does. So yeah, we'll go back and go to list your item and we're good to go. We can move on to the other 2 items that we have for today. I'm not going to run through that every single time with every item, by the way, guys. I just also want to show you that we work out of a bin now. We don't just randomly throw stuff on a shelf. We've gotten enough items where we need to be more organized. So this is actually going to go in the C bin, which is right here. And so now we know. Now that I think about it, we need to add in the custom SKU for bin C. So let's go ahead and do that on my phone real quick before we move on. Okay, so next up we have this. Well, I'm just gonna tell you guys what it is. It's a Nerf tripod for a specific gun, but we don't know which Nerf gun it is for. However, we know that, well, we know a couple things about it, right? We know that it has the Nerf logo right here, which is telling, and we have an N strike logo down here, which is also telling. You may or may not know that this is called a tripod. If it has 2 legs, it's called a bipod. So those are things that you can go off of. So like, we'll go into our app, go back to search, and we'll throw up Nerf. Well, we know this is an accessory, right? We know this attaches to a Nerf gun more than likely. So we'll say Nerf gun accessory. We'll say Nerf gun accessory and see what comes up. Okay, so we're getting a bunch of different stuff. But we can see if we scroll down. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is exactly what we need. Like, this is exactly what we're looking for. So we know this is for the Vulcan. And we know that this is also called a stand. It's actually the Vulcan EBF 25 is the full item number, or item model rather. So we know everything about it now, so we can go back to search and refine. So we can do Nerf gun Vulcan tripod or stand or whatever. So we'll do that, and boom. So now we're getting a bunch of them. And so now what we can do is go to our sold listings. There we go. We can see some different models for the translucent green there. And let's get a regular one. That one looks a little different. There we go. Okay, now we have it. So now we can go in here. We can go, whoops. Okay, so this one is an example of, they had a bunch of these, so they listed them as a lot. So you can actually scroll all the way down, if it's an active listing still, and go to sell one like this on the bottom. And then go through how you would list like we did the other ones. Okay, so we're going to move on to something more difficult than the other 2 that we've had. Typically, plush are a little harder to find what's going on with them. We have Acme and we have 1992, and that's really all the information that we can get on this dragon here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Google Lens, and Google Lens is really cool because if you look on the bottom, there is a search bar thing that you can search by a photo if you guys don't know this. So we'll go ahead and Google Lens it, and it is telling us that it is, well, we have some same ones here. So it's trying to say that it's Spiro, which Spiro came out way after 1992. So we can actually go to this eBay listing though that popped up and see if we can get some more information from this. Okay, so they just had vintage 1993 Acme Purple Dragon. So we could maybe try to search like 1992 Acme Purple Dragon and see if that gets us anywhere closer. Okay, so it definitely looks like that's what people are listing it as. very interesting. It doesn't actually have a character name, maybe, is what I'm thinking. So none exact have sold, but there's the one right here that is pretty much it for 14. That looks right. Yeah, that looks right. So maybe we just go ahead and list it as that. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how else we can narrow down this search. Let's see. Yeah, it could just be like, it definitely could just be a general thing. Let's see what this listing said. Yeah, see, they also said like purple dragon stuffed animal toy with iridescent wings. So yeah, it's very possible that this thing could just not have a character name, and you would have to list it as 1992 Acme plush purple dragon, you know, shiny wings, iridescent wings. So sometimes you're just stuck that way. But yeah, I mean, Google Lens will help you out a lot of the time if you don't know what an item is. So yeah, that's what I do typically on a harder item to list. You're just going to have to do a little bit more homework on something like that. But again, we'll go ahead and go through the process of getting this listed, and we'll send it on its way. Really quick note on this thing, since we didn't clean it, we're just going to go ahead and list it as is, because I think the minor cosmetic damages aren't really blemishes, rather, not damages, but aren't really that crazy on this thing. It's just got a little bit right here and a little bit on the side of the head, and then these two little stain spots on the bottom. So in the description, I go ahead and make sure the very first thing that I do is to please note the condition issues in the pictures. That way they are aware of what's going on. You'll also see, like, if people list a lot of clothing, they'll have like a little marker that they can put, you know, like a little green dot or something that they can put next to little blemishes on items. But it's just really important to be transparent about, you know, the condition of items that you're listing. So before we move on, I want to talk about that little Cisco sidecar, a little PBX phone thing that we just listed on this episode. And I had an offer come in for $30 on this thing, and I countered with $42.50, and they accepted it. So yeah, here we go. We sold it for $42.50 free shipping. Like I said, it's pretty light, so it's not going to take too much in shipping. And I think that just kind of needs to be a lesson in two ways. You know, if you're the type of seller that wants to wait for, you know, the last dollar and squeeze out every bit, we definitely should have waited, especially because we got an offer that fast, literally within like an hour of listing it. That's usually a good indication that your item is either priced too low or it's in demand, or both. But since we only have like $1.50 into it, we got it out of the bins. We're making like 40x our profit, you know, at that point. Maybe, well, a little less obviously with shipping, but either way, I'm happy to turn a $1.50 item into a $40 item in less than like an hour, you know, and we're going to ship it out today and all that stuff. So let's get to that. I'm going to show you some fun, embarrassing stuff of when we first started listing. So at one point I was a sweet summer child, a naive sweet summer child, and thought that I would only need this set of shelves here for my reselling, and I was wrong. I was way wrong. It looks a little unorganized, and it kind of is. I basically keep my electronics, my loose small electronics in here. We actually need to grab this Walkman right here. Hats, obviously. I have a plush there that doesn't belong there, that actually belongs. We have a plush bin. Some odds and ends up top, some bigger stuff actually. Sealed VHS over here. Some random box stuff, in-box stuff right here. Yeah, no rhyme or reason there. And then our media is kind of just spilling over down here. Some more big stuff down there. Yes, it is a nightmare. Yes, we're getting it under control. The goal is to get boxes that are about this size and then do them double wide. That way we can just have a little bit more organization for smaller stuff. And then, of course, the bigger stuff is what it is. I actually want to kind of make this shelf just the big item shelf, and then that way it has somewhere to go. It's not cluttered up with the stuff that's already in boxes. We're gonna get to those in just a second, though. I'll show you guys how that's all done when we pull an item. So it's kind of funny, the only item that we have that has a custom SKU or SKU, you'll also see it as custom label, but the only one is that Cisco little sidecar thing. So, and that has the custom label of C, but we're working out of C currently right here. Normally it would be over on my shelf. I'll show you guys that in a second. So yeah, we know that it is in C. There you go. We have it. You know, if it didn't have a label, we know that it's an old stock item. So we would know to pull it out of this, or actually, or that right there. That's the overflow that we were working out of for a little bit. Yeah, just, you know, I didn't have my organization system, and I was listing so much that it kind of got out of control, and that's going to happen. But again, at least we know the area that it's in. It's kind of organized, so that's good. But now that we have these letter boxes, it's going to help us so much more. Okay, guys, this might be the most important lesson of the entire episode. Don't be like me and list a bunch of hats and then order hat size boxes at the last minute, because you're going to be out here in your alleyway looking in the recycling for hat size boxes. I don't see any good ones off the top here. That sucks. There's kind of two. Oh, that other one was a good one too. All right, I think we're gonna take this one. I don't know if we're gonna take that other one. Maybe we will. All right. All right, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Okay. Okay, back to work. So we got shoes over there, plush bin. We have an A, a B, and we're currently working on C, but we plan on making this shelf our A, B, C, whatever it may be in the future type of thing. So after we pull our item, we'll go over here and we will focus on what we need to ship the item. So for example, something like this, I can probably wrap it up in enough bubble wrap and throw it in one of these poly mailers, probably a small one. We use the big ones like this a lot for clothing items, and we wrap shoe boxes in this poly mailer. So for example, like, well, not for example, but on these hats, we'll go ahead and throw them in a box that we just found in the alleyway. We have our scale, our small scale. We have a big scale over there as well. That, yeah, so that's for that. We also have like our poly mailers down there. We have some stickers down there and stuff. It's very dirty down there. We have some chemicals that we use sometimes. But that's pretty much it as far as like shipping stuff. You guys have seen time lapses of me shipping things out, but yeah, I typically will weigh it. I'll have a marker to put what the item is, like a quick description of the item, and the weight, and I'll be on my way. Also, speaking of hats, we did really well on the vintage hats that we just recently found from the bins, but that Redskins one, I knew that one was going to be good, and it sold for $50 free shipping. Really happy about that. I also did not clean that one. It didn't need any cleaning. It just needed a light brushing, and that was it. So super happy about that. Keep a lookout for vintage hats, guys, for sure. And then after I have my short description and my weight written down on there, I will go ahead and I'll throw it into my my IKEA bag, and then hopefully I only need one bag, but sometimes I need two, depending. And yeah, that's all said and done. Oh, also I keep a trash box nearby, and then also I need to mount this to where I keep my bubble wrap, but this is also my packing paper as well that I keep down here. But yep, these are the things that are most important, because trash can for keeping your space is as clean as possible, but also, yeah, IKEA bag, also very important for packages, and packing paper, also very important for keeping items from moving around in your boxes. All right, 8 packages ready to go, and we're gonna head up to the game room where our thermal printer is. And it's usually at this point in the day where I peek my head in and I say hi to Zesty. And I tell her that I love her, and she's working very hard.
I'm working so hard on Amazon. Don't tell.
Don't tell anyone. Okay, but we're gonna lead you into the game room here. I'm gonna turn on some ambiance lights so you guys can get the full picture of what's actually going on in there right now. Still a little bit of a mess, not gonna lie, but better than the other times it's been on videos. So this is the game room in its current state. Still definitely needs to be reorganized and all that stuff. Definitely been doing some testing down there on some GameCube and Wii stuff. This is where we have the desk now, and you know, this is kind of how it looks like sometimes. So not pretty by any means. Our thermal printer is down here because I've just been meaning to move it and I haven't moved it. So however, there is plans to move the entire PC setup to the opposite corner, mainly because when we start doing more lives, I want the game room to be the background, and also because I think we're gonna bring the listing setup up here. That may make things a little funky, but it's super cold in the basement and it's nice to be comfortable when you list. And it'll also allow me to do lives when I'm listing, so I can chat with you guys as I'm listing. With that being said, it might complicate things, you know, between like, okay, so now you're listing upstairs and you're printing upstairs, but you have all of your inventory downstairs. It might be a little bit complicated at first. We're just gonna see how it works. It's not gonna be a big deal to move the desk back down there, but the other option is to move one of the PCs, and like an old PC that I have, and just put the printer downstairs, which is probably the better option. It just sucks right now because it's winter and it's super cold down there. Okay, so now we are at the computer, and the only thing that I keep up here, aside from my thermal printer, as you guys saw, is a measuring tape. I just like to measure packages on the fly that go over first class. If it is first class, I literally just eyeball it, because most first class items are not going to be anything crazy dimensionally. They do have a limit on first class items, if you don't know, in size. And if it goes over that size dimension limit, it will not go first class, regardless if it is under a pound or not. And that's with USPS, of course. But the only thing that we had over first class today was this backpack, which you guys can see on the right-hand side of the screen. And fortunately, it is in a 1095, so it already gives you the dimensions of 12 by 3 by 15. So we'll go ahead and plug those in. And we have a weight of 1 pound, 12 ounces. So 1 pound, 12 ounces. And we said 12 by 3 by 15. Bam. All right. Obviously, we're going to go priority mail. If this box was bigger than this, like I said earlier, if it's bigger than a 1095, I definitely explore all of my options by clicking either up here. You can click UPS and it'll give you, well, you can declick everything and only click UPS and it'll give you UPS options. You could also just go to compare all services, which, you know, if it was a UPS ground item, it would be $9.37. But since this is well within the dimensions that are good for priority mail via USPS, we're going to go ahead and use that. So aside from that, I purchased my shipping label. It'll come up with the printer thing. You guys obviously didn't see it because I have it cropped out, because I don't want to I didn't want to dox anyone's name or address. And yeah, so we're good to go. and I'll take my my label and I'll put it on my box and I'll set it to the side of my IKEA bag, and I'll just go through and do everything and then put everything back in the bag and we're all good to go. Alrighty, y'all, that was my last one. Last package has its label on it, and we're gonna go on our way to the post office. You guys have seen that time and time again, especially if you've been watching the 30 days. And of course, you have to remember, since I am a content creator, sometimes my day does not go in that exact order. It just depends. If I go to the bins in the morning and I don't list beforehand, I might list at the end of the day. I mean, you guys should try whatever works out for you. If you guys like to source in the morning, you might want to try listing later on in the evening, or vice versa, or whatever. It just depends, obviously how your thrift route goes and how often you are going out and sourcing at thrifts and stuff. But anyway, guys, if you want to see anything more in particular, if you want to know about anything more in particular, like what certain brands of stuff that I use, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions in the comments, or you can leave me a DM on the Instagram. It's at Good Game Grabs. And we really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see y'all later on the next one.